Once upon a time, a raven-haired princess stood in a suburban apartment in the tropical land of Destin, Florida, and waited for her prince to come and whisk her away to everlasting happiness. Her younger sister asked, "Princess, when will you know when your prince has arrived? Will he arrive on a white horse?" The princess shook her head no. "Will he arrive on a horse-drawn chariot?" Again, the princess shook her head no. "A magic carpet, then. That's how he'll arrive." The princess looked wisely at her younger sister and said, "Silly girl, my prince will not arrive on any of those things. He's going to show up on a Harley Davidson, smoking a Marlboro menthol cigarette, wearing a leather jacket, and already been a familiar face with law enforcement." Ladies and gentlemen, while the opening of that story may seem like a fairy tale, it's not far from the truth. You see, I grew up the second oldest of 7 girls in a Catholic family. And when you're in a family of that size, well, it's easy to feel forgotten. I was 18 years old when I met my first bad boy. He was tall, tan, dirty blonde hair, smoked and drank beer like it was milk. Some girls like the smell of Polo or Calvin Klein on their man. I like the smell of a Budweiser. And I was 42 when I met my last bad boy on a dating website I like to call mugshots.com. But I have learned the hard way that the secret to finding happiness is not trying to marry America's Most Wanted. And I will share 3 secrets I believe to finding happiness in a moment. I believe that we're all searching for something. Think about it. What are you hoping to gain? A new car? A promotion? The love of your life? Enough money in the bank to retire at 50? I mean, we're all searching for something. Isn't that what we're here for? But finding happiness in material things, well, that's just on paper. We got to dig deep into ourselves and find out what our true secrets, our true meaning that I believe are to finding happiness. And the first one I believe is believing. Believing in something or someone higher than yourself. No, I choose to call my higher power God, but for many, many years he sat on the sidelines while I tried to steer the car. I thought, I've got this. He's too busy to worry about my problems. There's a war going off over in the Middle East. The real estate market's collapsing. And people are waiting too long in lines for the new iPhone 7. Of course, this was like 5 years ago. But I had to get in touch with my faith again. And I started doing that last year. And I started to feel a sense of calmness, a sense of belonging, a sense that everything was going to be okay if I just believed in my higher power and let his will be done and not mine. The second secret I believe to finding happiness is benevolence. That means practicing acts of kindness to others. Even when you're stuck in Georgia traffic on Holcomb Bridge in the middle of a rainstorm like this, trying to turn onto the exit ramp. You know, I first went to confession for the first time this past February, and I hadn't been to confession in 25 years. And after hearing my sins, which took about an hour, the priest, he didn't tell me to say a few Hail Marys, but instead he told me to start practicing acts of kindness to others. You see, we don't have to like everyone that we come in contact with, but we can be patient and we can be kind because we never know what someone else is going through. I had a coworker of mine at work who started a few months ago, and right from the start, I had already decided I wasn't going to like her. After she was at the workplace for a few months, her and I got to talking out in the parking lot, and I started really listening to her and understanding what she was going through, taking care of a sick mother who had cancer, being recently divorced and being in debt, trying to put her 2 teenage daughters through school and save money for their college. And it just sort of grounded me and said, wow, I was only seeing one side of this woman. And I had already had a predetermination that I wasn't going to like her. I mean, let's face it. We all judge people in some form or fashion, whether we want to admit it or not. Even as a restaurant server, it's hard not to see a party come up to the restaurant and go to the table and already assume that they're going to be bad tippers. But I had to dig deep into myself, and I had to learn what that priest was telling me and to practice those acts of kindness. And if I only received 10% on a $200 tab, well, that's just how it went that night. My sister didn't collect bad boys like I did. But how she fills the void in her life is by collecting pets. She's got 3 dogs now, 4 rabbits, 2 guinea pigs, a hamster, a fish, and 2 birds. And no, she doesn't live on 5 acres up in Cumming or somewhere, but rather a 1-bedroom apartment off Chamblee Dunwoody. Let's just say there's not enough of a breeze in the world. When we get together, I try to encourage her to come to my house. And then thinking about those secrets to finding happiness. I have a friend of mine who tries to find her happiness by traveling. I mean, she's been to all sorts of places. She's been to Spain and Costa Rica and Mexico, and she even spent time last year in Bangkok. But she also hasn't had a relationship with her only daughter in over 25 years. She hasn't seen her grandchildren in a long time. And I remember asking her one time, I said, Alicia, do you travel so much to forget the fact that you don't have a relationship with your daughter? She said, Shannon, I do. But wherever I go, there I am. You see, traveling to escape what's missing in your life? Well, that's just geography. And lastly, that third secret to finding happiness is boldness. Being bold enough to care about your passion. Whether it is you want to run a marathon, or you want to become an area director, or you want to be the next TED Talk speaker, thank you, Natalie, or you want to even take a chance on someone who hurt you for a long time, but you still love them. That's being bold enough to believe in yourself, believe in your heart, and believe in your soul. And at the end of the day, we have to think about where we want to go in life and what's going to bring us happiness. And if that means believing in someone higher than yourself, practicing those random acts of kindness, and being bold enough to stand up for what you believe in and what you're passionate about. In other words, replace bad boys, bunnies, and Bangkok with believing, benevolence, and boldness. And you too can be on the path to finding happiness. Toastmaster.